Hey, peace, y'all. Oh, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We are on day 3 of the Hands Off Friends, Family, and Farrakhan 5-day international fast that we are working on. And this fast is certainly it's been good to me, for these past few days. The beauty of it and just helping to clear the mind, man, makes a world of difference. It makes a world of difference. But tonight, our special guest. If you all seen the flyer that went out, it is our sister Maryam K. Muhammad, and I'll get into her bio a little bit later on when she comes on. But she'll be joining us live, and God willing, everything will work out the way it's supposed to tonight. So we're still standing up. We're still defending Farrakhan. That's what we're doing. And it's not like the Holy Quran says, if it was a short gain and a near journey, everybody would make it, everybody would win, and everybody would be here to fight. But this is not a short journey and near gain. You gotta be built for this. And if you're not built for it, then do your spiritual workout and build yourself up to it. Tonight's interview with the sister I think it's really, really important to touch on some things, specifically about how women today are standing up for truth like never before, fighting on the front lines like never before. They're fighting hard, and even to the point to where sometimes as a man, I have to say it's kind of embarrassing when I look at some of us, to see how we stand on the sidelines and cheering, instead of taking the reins. And so for this, I didn't think it would be, I could think of several sisters who could come on and represent a certain mindset of strength and leadership, and just that kind of fight. And one of them certainly is my sister Maryam. We have a history of working together when I lived in Chicago. We had, got to the point we worked on several projects together. There was some work we did at the Salam restaurant, the mighty, mighty fine Salam restaurant in Chicago, Illinois, and on some other details and things. And just in building a relationship from doing this work, she is a sister that I can say, and say this about her and her family, her husband and her children. Like we say in the street, I'll ride for them. I'll ride for her husband, her and her children any day of the week. No question about it. I don't have to ask them what happened. If they come and they say something happened, they're not the kind of people to lie about it and to pump it up and make it be something other than what it is. And I love them for that. They were one of the first families that my family and I began to get to know and embrace, and it was never nothing less than love from day one. You move away and you miss some people, and some people you don't. They're family that I miss, that I would love to be around again. But it's just their spirit, man, and they're real good people. They're children, beautiful children, man. Very intelligent. They're very, they're not just smart and wise, but they're mannerable. These are respectable children, and they advance. So I just love that. You know a tree by the fruit it bears. So you look at their babies and you'll understand exactly who they are, and it just make you love them more. So sister will be on, and we're gonna continue unpacking this. These lies and this lying campaign of thinking you're gonna put your verbal hands or your media hands on our brother, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. You know, he has brothers and sisters that love him very much. And if we could fight, you know, the biggest of the opposition, there are many of us who would jump out in front and fight it just so he doesn't even have to get out of his seat, so he doesn't have to blink an eye. And so our sister Maryam is one of them. And you'll learn more. I'll let her go a little bit more to her history as well when she comes on. But my sister certainly is an accomplished author, and this is one of the things we will deal with. Her book, I know that you can get this on Amazon, but I'll let her give a little bit more detail when she comes on. But it's The Power to Break Generational Pain. And let me tell you, when I first got the book, and just in the introduction, man, the forward alone, it just shook me, made me sit up in the bed. Because I know that from her work, she does a lot with our sisters in the streets. They're not all Muslim, because that's not her mission to sit there and teach everybody that's Muslim. She teaches her sisters. And you can look at this book, and from an aspect of a woman, a black woman, you can understand that there is pain that black women are suffering right here in America, right in our own families, in our homes with us. And you can understand and you can see that how a woman could read that book and say to herself, you know, man, this is talking to me, this is talking to me. But I'm saying as a man who carries generational pain, man, it went right to my core. And the beauty of it was I was able to see myself in the statement. And that's how you know that something like that comes from God. It's not something that's just manufactured. Because when God is speaking, he's speaking to all of those that have the ear to listen. And so it was eye-opening for me just in that. And right off the bat, I was ready to go ahead and finish reading the book. And so we're going to touch on some of those things as well tonight. And she'll be on in a minute. Mark, whenever you're ready, you're welcome to jump right on. I do want to get into some of the statements. It was very interesting that this Rabbi Abraham Cooper that Nick Cannon interviewed, and I'm dealing with that only because it more recently it was the start and the spur of some other things that took place. And so we have friends, you know, we call them friends in the Nation of Islam. We call them family. And some of our friends and family, you know, the late, great Michael Jackson certainly was one. We talked yesterday about Allen Iverson, Charlemagne the God, Nick Cannon, Diddy, Russell Simmons. There's so many, right? And so whenever they stand up, the question was asked several times after the whole backlash from Nick Cannon and his apology. And so the question was asked, well, what did he say? What did he say? What was so anti-Semitic? What did Nick Cannon say? Well, it wasn't so much what he said. It was who he said, who he mentioned. And he said Farrakhan. And I gotta give him his props. I gotta give him his love. He stood stronger than most I have seen. The man really wanted him to denounce the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and to say that he was not in agreement with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's statements. Nick Cannon wouldn't do it. So I gotta give him that. And I know there were some other things he said that many of us were critical of. Many of us criticized him for the apology. And just in talking to some of my friends, talking to some of the brothers, I had to say, you know, I said, hey, you know, I said, we got to be careful in how we respond to that. I said, because if you read what he said, if you really paid attention to what he said, he was apologizing to his friends that he hurt. Now, not just that, but even in that, in his written statement, in his interview with the rabbi, he never once backed down for his love for the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Now, we got a whole list of them who have done it. We got a whole list of them. There is right now circulating on the internet. There is an interview that was posted, and I forget the website, but I saw it on someone else's page on Instagram. But it is accusing Ice Cube of backing down from his support and love of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. And this, as far as I know of, he hasn't come back and said anything, and maybe I missed it. But it is out of character in terms of his public representation and support of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. This was apparently something that happened behind closed doors. Now, I'm not accusing the brother of doing it and saying that the article is true, but I do know we have to be careful when someone who is in opposition to us brings us bad news and almost any news about any one of our friends, of our family members. So I would just say to everyone who may be talking about that and going back and forth about that, saying that Ice Cube said that he's not with Farrakhan, he's not a follower of Farrakhan. I don't know that he said it unless I don't know that he said it. Let me say that. If he came out publicly and admitted that was his interview and those were his words, well then that's another session, that's another interview, and I know exactly who to call for it. But in any case, that those are just some of those who have been around for years now. What I want to get into is, and they didn't necessarily cover it in great detail, or really didn't touch it in the interview. There are women, non-black women, who have stood up and shown their public support of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They've come and they've said, yep, we, pardon me, I'm sorry. They said, yeah, we, no, well, they didn't say that they stand with him. Let me rephrase that. What they did was point out to him that, I'm sorry, I'm bringing my sister on. But what they did, tell Jewish comedian, she shared when he was on Donahue, and basically what she was saying was she supported that statement that he made, and it was nothing out of the ordinary. It was nothing crazy. It wasn't anything that we haven't heard already, and it's not anything that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan ever backs down from. And those of us with good understanding, we're not backing down from it either. It is true that in general, the world, in particular, the Caucasian people, they have a different understanding of his work and his mission. And oftentimes we are accused of being anti-white, when in fact, being pro-black doesn't mean being anti-white, but it simply means being pro-black. And for whatever reason, some of us start to feel a certain type of way. Marcy, you're on the screen. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to not acknowledge.
No, it's okay. I'm trying to see, like, can you hear me?
Barely. I can barely hear you, but go ahead.
Yeah, because I can barely hear you now. Like, you was loud at first.
It is better, right? You may have to turn your volume up. I turned mine up.
I did. I'm like, at first you were like really loud, then you went low on me.
Well, I can be loud. No, but in any case, we're gonna jump right into this. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
How's my sister doing?
I'm trying to see. Wait a minute, because I'm trying to see why you sound so low all of a sudden. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me see.
No worries, no worries. Take your time.
Okay.
But I can hear you fine.
Really?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Strange. I know it's not like anything with the settings.
Do you need me to speak a little louder?
Yeah, let me see. I don't want to put you on two devices. I guess then I might create an echo.
There's no worries at all.
Huh?
And thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everybody that's been sharing too. I've been getting I've been getting inboxes. I've been getting text messages. People have been sharing these. Man, thank you so much for sharing it. And because it's not about me at all whatsoever. It just agrees with my spirit that um, and those of you who know me, if you know me intimately, very closely, and some of you may just know me from social media, you know that in terms of perfection will be here, and Brother Brandon is way over here, like off the screen. So I'm very, very far from perfect. But I'll tell you, when it comes to Brother Farrakhan, when it comes to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his family, my own personal experiences, man, I'll fight you for them. And I don't have a problem with it. I don't care how you feel about it. When you come against them and you come against them in a manner that I know is foul and wrong, um, you have changed our relationship at that point. And so if you've been harboring something about him and his family and what speak about him in a manner that is negative, yeah, I'm not going. So just know that, Mark, you came off the screen for a sec, but just know that I have a certain type of spirit about that, and so do I need to add you back again? Give me a second, you all, please. Okay, I don't see it, so I'm not sure if you sent the request or not. I can't send it out again, but if you send the request, I can go ahead and add you back on. Um, but my whole point in this is that I thank you for sharing it because the information has to get out to the people. The truth of what has been said about him, the corrections, all it has to get out. And so there's so many people who don't know what it is that he is being accused of in terms of the ultimate accusations. We're not talking about the little petty stuff, is that, oh, he's a bigot, oh, he's racist, oh, he's homophobic, all of these lies that we keep hearing, and I'm telling you, they straight up lies. I mean, it's so funny, man. Some of the things that, that after a while, I still, I'm like, yo, why do you keep on, pardon me, I'm sorry. It's like, why do you keep telling this same lie? At a certain point, it's not even, it's not funny. It doesn't do anything. Um, it's so, whack. Mar, I don't see you on there. Maybe you can try and request it because I don't see you on there. But if you all really knew some of the things about the minister and some of the things about his family, just intimately, in his own personal life, you would really see how foolish and stupid you look to some of us. You would be surprised, man, at how ignorant you look. And when you accuse him of these things, there's some of us who just look at you and can probably rattle off about 10 or 20 different times in our life that actually cancels out the lie you just told. And so it's after a while it's just silly, man. Oh, there we go. All right, I got you back. It just becomes silly after a while. So we're gonna touch coming back in. Can you see it? I just get you back. Right on. I see you back. I don't hear you, but I see you. Okay, I hear you now. Good to go.
I'm like,
Good.
okay, good. And I can hear
Oh,
you
good.
good.
Perfect.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do, let me
Yay.
I'm gonna read this because I want to get it right. All right. Now, our sister is a healer, she's a motivational speaker, now a published author, y'all. Um,
Praise
and
to Allah.
she has addressed audience of different sizes, large, small. I know for a fact I've seen her in the public schools in Chicago. I've seen some of these young brothers and sisters just flock to her. And I never forget, boy, the first time, I never even told you this, but the very first time I saw you addressing the students at the school, man, my jaw dropped. I was like, yo, she is teaching. I was like, dang. It just blew my mind because all of our interactions were always on another level. You know, we were at work, or you know, we were dealing with some kind of security detail or something. Yeah. But man, when you was just going and you could see it on their faces, I knew exactly that I was just looking at someone that God had touched. I knew that I was looking at someone that, you know, God just blessed. And to say it's talented, or to call you talented, I think it takes away from the truth of the matter. It's really just blessed with an assignment is what it is. And so I'll let you kind of go in and let everybody know, you know, who you are and what you do.
Well, I mean, I hate talking about myself, but I'll say, I am the founder of Heal Thy Life. I have, yes, I have mentored both women and girls. I've had healing retreats for women, published now 2 books. I love the motivational speaking aspect. I love the healing aspect. My grandmama was the secretary of Master Farrakhan Muhammad, and her husband, my grandfather, was the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's youngest sibling. So I've had an interesting childhood, to say the least. But I mean, I love what I do. I love what I do. You know, I love what I've been blessed to do. So I'm ready to have fun on this show, because I know you and I and our chemistry, and I already know how this is about to go.
If we can get through this without an argument, man, we have grown.
Oh my God.
I don't care where I see the sister at. If we talk for more than 20 minutes, we arguing about something. But it's beautiful because it's always rooted.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I kid you not, man.
Yes.
And I mean, now I can laugh. I'm like, man, you know, I don't know what it is, but you know, it's like I tell people all the time, like, you look, I'm half crazy, but I think, you know, I think I can only function around people that's half crazy.
Hey, it's a whole bunch. You know, we got to be a crew. It's real.
Somebody got to do it. You know, there used to be a fight squad. Right. Somebody got to.
Exactly.
Sister Bashir, she absolutely is a beautiful spirit. And praise be to Allah, we do.
Oh man, praise be to Allah.
And so, before we get into this interview a little bit, there's some things, because it actually takes us up to the discussion about how we have to stand strong against those who call themselves putting their hands on our friends, our family, and Farrakhan. And, you know, even to the point of, you know, there's this spirit we have where we'll say, hey, we're not our ancestors, you know, but that's we do know that we have received instructions from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that when the enemy physically does come to get him, he said for us not to interfere because prophecy has to be fulfilled. And some of us have a spirit. I know you have that spirit that I have that, you know, makes you want, it's a challenge, you know, the idea.
Yeah, it is.
Thinking about it. And it's only a challenge because of our love, you know, for him.
That's right.
And we can go back 5 years, 10 years, 20 years and think about where we were then and just a word from him and where we are now and how much has changed. Right. In your book, there's, I mean, several chapters. God, it really is, you know, it really is an unleashing of an inner power. And this is something that I think, and specifically when it comes to the women who come to stand and they're brave, even these non-Black women, you know, Madonna, Chelsea Handler, gosh, Jennifer Aniston. They, you know, to show their support for statements that he's making about Black people, and show their support in the midst of their own people, right, in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And they can
Absolutely.
stand there. Now, you know, they got a little pressure, so it's kind of like, how strong are you? But we know that when Jesus was nailed to the cross, you know, there were women that was there with him. The disciples, who
That's
said
right.
that they stood strong, and, you know, even Peter with his sword, neither his sword was there.
Come on.
You know, and so to really understand that, there's a chapter out of the book called Me, Myself, and God. And it segues into this discussion, and I just want to read it, if it's okay with you. One paragraph.
Sure.
It says, we say we believe in God, but so many of us are suffering from fear, disappointment, and dissatisfaction. We have doubt and insecurities that lead us to make unnecessary excuses. All we have to do is build an awesomely intimate relationship with God. Do you think that not following that, not soaking that into us, men and women, is why some of us can come and say, yeah, we with Farrakhan, but when the pressure comes, we back down?
Absolutely. You know, it makes me think about when I was just listening to a clip of the minister where he was talking about the difference between the followers of the first and the followers now, and how they surrendered but didn't submit because faith had not entered into their hearts. And I look at that as the women. First of all, the minister said that a woman's nature is to equal herself up to God. A man's nature is to compete with God. So in that alone, it is, you know, we have that gravitational pull to Jesus. We have that gravitational pull to God. So in that type of perspective, the woman naturally is going to stand. She's naturally gonna, and even out of the pain and everything that she's gone through, once she sees who Jesus is, she's naturally going to come to him. It's the answer that our souls are looking for.
Yeah.
So you know, so that's what, in my humble opinion, makes it easier for the woman to come and gravitate, regardless of her color, to gravitate to Jesus. Versus, you know what I'm saying, versus the brothers. It's not to say our brothers won't, you know what I'm saying? Now, my grandmother used to say, the pull on the female is stronger, though. It's harder to pull the female than it is to pull the male. And the reason why she said that is because with the woman, you're pulling a nation that comes through her. With the male, you're pulling an individual. So for the woman to naturally come to Jesus, that type of strength, to have that gravitational pull, he's pulling a nation. He's absolutely pulling a nation.
Yeah, man, that Lord, you gotta write some grandma hadiths, man.
I know, right?
The wisdom in that alone, man. It makes you. I'll tell you what came to mind, right, when you were speaking. You think about a woman who's in a bad relationship, and then she's in pain, and you say, well, why won't you just leave? Why won't you just leave? You know, you're trying to pull their nation and their home apart. And there's something about him that makes her want to stay that might be stronger than the pain. Now, I remember hearing a lecture by student minister Nuri Muhammad, and he went in real deep with it. But he talked about how scripture teaches that to love a man is to respect him, and to respect a woman is to love her. But this world tells us men need love too. Women won't respect. And so the roles have been reversed. So now we're
Yeah.
fighting for the
Yeah.
natural role that God has given us. But it also speaks to
Mm-hmm.
why a woman who feels love will stay, because she says, he loves me.
Yeah.
He loves me.
Yeah.
And if she sees something right in him, then that is from God himself. And it's in the
Mm-hmm.
line of divine that Jesus comes in. So that's really deep. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, but sisters, I'm gonna say
Yeah.
this, and I gotta
It.
say this: if you're in a relationship and it's a bad relationship, like, get you some help, seriously. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
if you stand
Absolutely.
there and you might be afraid or whatever, but if you see some good in him, I need you to see the bad too, so you can save yourself and
That's
get up
right.
out of there.
Yeah.
And Nathan
Absolutely.
can rise no higher than
Absolutely.
this woman. So I gotta say that. Don't I most certainly would not recommend that you put your life on the line like that. Not at all. Um,
Right. Yeah. No, no, you can't. We have to understand what we can do and what we cannot do. And as a woman, I'm gravitating towards the God in the man, even if he don't know that God is there.
mm,
So, like the minister said, for trillions of years, we've been on the path of looking for God. Since Allah removed himself from us, we've been on the path of trying to find him. So, a woman that's trying to find love and understand that that love is going to come from the essence of God, and I feel that essence in
right.
this man, then I'm going to stick with him regardless to what he does to me, thinking I have the power to change him. That's where we go
Mm,
wrong. So if he's not going towards God, if he's not going in that direction, you got to let him go, because we don't have the power to change. We have the power to nurture. There's a
woo,
difference.
boy, that listen, there was some in this book. When I tell y'all to get this book, man, I'm so serious, man. And food, movies, music, certain stuff. If I'm not feeling it, I don't promote it. So I'm telling you. But man, I absolutely promote my sister's book. I'm telling you, and I'm not just saying it because I know her. I'm telling you this because it connects with my spirit. There's a section in the book. It's called Conversations of My Soul. Whoo! Hey, I felt like the church ladies. I was like, oh,
Oh
man.
my God. Oh
If
my
you
God.
all, listen, if you don't have this book, boy, where can I get the book? Let's just start there first. Where can I get this book?
They can actually get it on Amazon. Within the next week, I'm going to have it on my website, and I'm going to post all of that, because Amazon is taking too long to ship my book out. But like, all of this in the name of Corona.
I mean, there's a section in here, you all, and I'm not gonna give up. I ain't gonna give up the ghost, but there's a section in here, and it's almost like a poem, but it's a script between her and him, and it's called A Superhero Mindset. Man, look. Hey, I was a little salty. I was like, man, I thought I was bigger than that. But you have to accept, man, the truth of the matter, because it's really when a man can really listen and not just hear but listen um, to a
Mm-hmm.
woman, it really does something for me. I can say that as an individual, and not just my wife. I'm talking about my daughters. I'm talking about my sisters. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when
Mm-hmm.
the mothers of the community, when I hear from them and listen to them, when I know that it is the God in them that's talking to me and not emotion, not just pain
Right.
or experience, but even listening to that pain, you got to reevaluate yourself as a man. Because when we are taught
Yeah.
that when the
Absolutely.
creator or the originator created himself, that after that, he created a woman, and not just to
Mm-hmm.
just be there, but to give him
Right.
balance. And there were
That's
things
right.
in him that he could not see. And so he had to
That's right.
manifest it so he could see it like, oh, that's me. So when a woman is telling us about ourselves, yes, baby, I know my wife is watching. Yes, I'm talking about you too. When a woman is talking to us, brothers, we have to take up that spirit of the originator and look at it to see what's really in you. Because you might not like everything that you see. But if you're in the spirit of the originator, the creator, you are going to like what you see because he made her after him so he can have something good to look at, right? Not just for that reason, but you ought to be able to see the good and the beauty in that and be attracted to it when it comes. But this superhero mindset, man, look, I'm not going to give it up, but y'all just get the book, man. I'll give you the first passage, and this is for those of us who love to quote the Holy Quran, who love to say that, I'm the lead in the home, I'm this, I'm that. The Holy Quran says that the male is 1 degree above the female, though you created from the same essence, made from the same essence. I heard Sister Dr. Minister Ava say this. She says, if you draw a circle, we know a circle is 360 degrees. She says, find 359 on there for me. You can't even find it. So you can't even identify where that 1 degree is. So don't try to make her 90 degrees. Don't try to make her 180. That's that 359 degrees, you can't even identify it. And you have to have the proper tool in order to even find it. Now, do you have the proper tool, brothers? Do we have the proper tool to even find it? No, we don't, because we wouldn't be in the condition we in if we did. We wouldn't have to say it to her if we knew how to identify it. So the hidden desire for him to lead, and this is what you say, him, I have walked with you for years. Why do you still complain? Brothers, listen. Her says, I've been waiting for you to rise 1 degree above me so I can see your footsteps. Boy. If you lean, she'll see your footprints, man. Yeah. If you lean, you just gotta be real about it. Who else is gonna see it before her other than your woman? You just gotta be real about it. And so that gets us back to the discussion. The women. Now we have the senators who we got senators, we got congresswomen. We can't negate our sister Tamika Mallory. We are seeing women take the forefront of social justice's fight all over the world. Not just, in certain parts of the country, but all over the world. And the Honorable Louis Farrakhan said about them, he said, these women are where men should be. What would you attribute to a woman saying, listen, I don't see your footprints. I don't see you taking the lead. I love you, but I can't sit here. How do you see them in terms of standing with someone like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? Because none of them denounced
him. Man, I love them. I love them. Of course, they're strong women. But what we see is that the enemy did his job. He did his job on the Black man. And so I can't, how some of us, we go so far as we want to criticize or degrade or break down our brothers. And we're not supposed to do that. So Black women are strong by nature. We hold our families together. We've done that for generations and eons of time. So it's not that it's out of the ordinary for us to be strong. It's because the enemy has robbed the Black man of his strength. You now see more of ours versus our strength was in the background. So our strength really wasn't, it didn't need to be seen like that.
Wow.
So you would hear more so of men talking about, man, my mama didn't play. Now you starting to see the mothers that don't play. Now you see that out front, and it makes the black man look like he's a punk, and he's not. So we have to be, in our rise as a female, we have to be patient, and we have to be humble and willing enough to understand that we gotta help our brothers out. Like we have to lift our brothers with us. Now, quite naturally, we're gonna run to defend, and we're gonna be on the defensive and offensive side with the minister, because it's a woman. You're looking at two categories, in my opinion. Like a little girl looking for the love of her father that she's found, and a woman looking for another aspect of love that she's found. Because if you look at if you read scripture about Jesus healed.
That's right.
You got Maryam Magdalene. Of course, everybody stereotyped her. He healed
That's
her.
right.
He protected her. He defended her. So when you look at the history of women, you got Hagar, who didn't lose faith, who was right there with her belief system. And so when you look at the women are always there. They always have been there. The first martyr in Islam was a female.
Right.
So the first person to give their life for Islam was a woman. So we've always been there. But so now it's, what do we have to do to get our brothers there? Because of so much fear. Now I gotta say too, though, our black men they get there now. They getting there. Yeah, the brothers are getting there. It's just, again, women, we're not that patient. So when you have that figure of love, that force of love that you're attached to, you like the mother with her child. You ain't waiting on the father to get there. I'll meet you at the school, but I'm on my way because they messing with my baby. That's how it is. It's like, man, brothers, I'll meet you there. You know what I'm saying? We're going to fight for Farrakhan, but I'm a Farrakhan soldier, so no, I'm going to be there.
That's right. Well,
like, I love my brothers.
Really, and I think sometimes if we really look at it from what it is, right? And it goes back to the statement you made earlier, that you're looking for that God in that man, in your man. You're looking for that. And if he's not, if you don't see the God in him, some women will stay and search long and hard before they give up. Some are just out. But you're looking for that God in him. So when I see women who are highly supportive of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, it's because they see God. And so as a man, I have to say, well, I want my wife to be highly supportive of me in my fight. So then I should be looking at him as an example of how to manifest the God in myself. As a black man, and I have to say to the brothers, don't get bent out of shape. Yes, it is true. And sister, you just bore witness to it, that the enemy has done a job on us. It is true that some of the women are put out in front of us on purpose by our enemy to keep us from leadership roles. But I have to go back to us as men and say, why are you going to another man to validate you? Why does another man have to validate you and make you a leader? You were born leader. And we have an example in the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, because it ain't no fight too big when it comes to righteousness in him. It ain't too big. It ain't too deep. Ain't ain't no mountain high enough, But that's the kind of spirit that I want to have. And in that, I think that there's a disconnect from us as men, where we get emotional behind it, and say, you ain't gonna be running me. You ain't running over me. Woman, stay in your place. Well, sometimes we have to stop and look and say, She is in her place. She's trying to push you forward in yours. She's not trying to jump out in front of you. She's pushing you to move faster. So if I want to lead, that means I got to be there first. I got to be there first.
Right.
And so now we're seeing this. Auntie Maxine out in LA, she was criticized for carrying a gun. You know, it just depends on how you look at it. You know, if there were black men surrounding her, securing her 24/7, she wouldn't need it. I just got to say that. And not to down us, because there's a reality. We got lives, we have wives, we have children, we got family. But that reality is she's out there on the front lines. And so if we were there, then she wouldn't need it. But she got it. She said, because look, I don't know when you're going to be there and when you're not. But her spirit is, I'm going to fight. I'm going to be Auntie Maxine to all of y'all, you know, and it's that same motherly spirit. Now, getting back to the accusations that this came out, Rabbi Cooper accused Yamba Louis Farrakhan of being misogynistic as well. And it's like, you know, like, dude. So if he's misogynistic, you're saying that these hundreds of thousands of women are stupid? Well, like, what are you saying, man? I took that as an insult to the MGT. I took that as an insult to just those who love him. You know, it's an insult to me as somebody that's trying to follow his example. Now, I can be trying harder. Believe me, I'll be the first one to say that I need to try harder to follow his example. But even in what I'm doing, like, that's an insult to the intelligence of us to be able to see God in a man. Give the people, give them your own personal experiences of, you know, where we can say, no, he's anti-misogyny.
You know, I mean, I'm honestly just feeling like they trying to pull everything they can out of the bag. Like, come on. Nothing they say they can prove. Absolutely nothing. This man, you can't call him a liar. Anything you put on him, you cannot prove it. You can't come with examples. You can't do any of that. The man walks a perfect line. Like there is no other human being on this planet that walks the line of obedience that he does. So I'm like, you know, out of your, they're really digging a deeper grave for themselves. So out of their childish ways, out of their insecurities, you're really trying to pull everything that you can. This man sets up, like, from from FOI class to, you know, the perfect example of an FOI, of training a black man, of stimulating the God in a man. I mean, come on. It's like he doesn't degrade the black man. He doesn't degrade the black woman. He doesn't degrade any human being.
That's right.
So it's like, stop it. You're trying that now. You're like a little child that's you being petty at this point. Because it's like this man can call 1 million black men and get 2.5. Like, come on. And you look at his track record. Look at everything that he's done. I mean, and you and I know personal things that he's done. So it's like, stop it. He does things in the public and the exact same things in person, because he's the same person on the rostrum that he is at home. There is no separate Farrakhan. It's the exact same man. So, I mean, it's like, come on, stop it. All these rabbis out here and all of these white folks and these supposedly Jews, and it's like, stop it. You don't even represent the word you say you coming with. Like, come on. What? Show me where you being true to your word, to your God, to your Savior, or do you really believe in Moses? What can you tell me about Moses? So it's like, you sit down and they don't want to answer those type of questions.
That's right.
Like, but you want Farrakhan to have to apologize or prove who he is. It's like, stop it. You've yet to prove who you are besides who you truly are, but you can't prove who you say you are. You have no proof of that. So you got to keep trying to, you know how they say you have to pull somebody down to make yourself rise? Because you're not rising off of nothing. And I know you can think of some things with bread and then all of that kind of stuff. Yeast is, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got enough yeast.
Right.
You ain't rising.
It's the truth. It is the truth. No, absolutely. And then also it takes because see, if we look at that and we look at the example and study them, it's like the art of war. You got to know the lay of the land, and you got to study your opposition and understand how they fight. So if we study them, we see that they're like one choir. They all stand and singing. Ain't no solo. Everybody singing the same lyrics, And you could say, well, let me turn it down. Turn it down. When you turn it back up, they singing the same thing all over again, all over again. We could learn from that, And one of the things that you said in your book, I think.
Wait a minute, Brandon. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Because somebody commented that they don't know who they are. Yeah, they do know who they are. That's why they act the way that they do, because they don't want you to know who they are. They know exactly who they are.
No,
that's why they fear Farrakhan.
And that is the truth. I have to agree with that. It's and even Nick Cannon, which was one of the things that they jammed him up on, because he said, they stole our birthright. They hate to hear that. They hate to hear that. And
Come on.
One of the worst thing, or the worst thing, that an identity thief fears is being caught. They'll change identity on you everywhere they go.
Come on.
They'll have a new name, a different ID, but once they get caught, now you have to answer for all of the identities that you stole and everything you did in those names. These are identity thieves. And what some of us don't know, and we know because we know some of these brothers and sisters, but there is a large Black American community in Israel. And they were born and raised in the United States. And we know many of them as the Hebrew Israelites. And we know many of them are our friends. These are friends of ours. These are friends of Farrakhan. They love him. And if the call goes out that, hey, we all doing X, Y, and Z, you can expect to see them show up just right off the bat. But this is what many of us don't know, because we don't study, we don't read, but they are there present in Israel. And as a matter of fact, when they went, they had to fight the Israeli government for citizenship. They had to fight them for it, and eventually got a piece of land there. And when they gave it to them, if you ask any of them, they'll tell you, man, it was barren. It was nothing there. They gave us the worst part. We didn't have much of nothing. They built it up now to where they have their own community. They have their schools. They have their businesses. They have their doctors. And these are Black people. These are Black people. But what is so interesting is that they never will call on those Black, quote unquote, Jewish people or these Hebrew people. They never call on the Black Israelites to come and stand with them against the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, because they know it's a lie.
That's right.
Because they know that those Black Israelites also have the same understanding. You stole my identity. There was one brother who he was schooling me on it. He said, Brother Brandon, he said, there are 12 tribes. He said, they're just one if we allow them to take credit for it. Now, in that you have to look at it and say, well, how do you speak for all 12 tribes then? How do you speak for all 12 tribes? There are Ethiopian Jews in Ethiopia right now. You ask them how long they've been there. They say
Come
forever.
on.
They say we've always been
Right.
here. And they are recognized
See?
as Jewish people. Now, in that, which brings us to fighting again, in fighting in unity, fighting in unison. If we stand as one, which is what they don't want us to unite. And so
Right.
you said in your book that Muslim and Christian women serve the same Father. That makes us spiritual sisters. I think it's so important for our sisters to hear that, for one. And I like the way that you put that. Many of us will agree wholeheartedly with that statement and wouldn't argue with it and say, that's what I've been trying to tell you. But when you put it that way, that we serve the same Father, that makes us spiritual sisters. That makes us spiritual brothers because we got the same Father.
That's right.
In that understanding that we have the same Father, how do we, how would you say, how have you done it? Because I know you work with them in Chicago. How do you get all of us to come and stand with that Jesus figure in our midst?
By showing us that we all walk the same path and we all walk the same journey. A lot of people ask questions like, do you all teach from the Bible? Yeah, we do. So it's like to show you're opening up their eyes because you're ridding them of the myths that they've been told, and because I cover my hair, I think I'm better than you. Well, I don't think I'm better than you. And how about the picture of Mary that you have on the wall, mother of Jesus? Her hair is covered. So your representation that you say you serve, your sister is walking in that representation. So this is why Muslim women walk in the store around Hispanics and they start asking us to pray for their children. Their children look at us and they're like, oh, is that Mary, mother of Jesus? Because we're representing that vessel. So no, I'm not better. I'm showing you what the enemy robbed you of. So you see yourself in me. I'm your sister. So stop letting this enemy divide us with these titles when, like I said in my book, our trials and tribulations are the same. Muslims go through the same pain that Christians go through. It's not different because I serve, I'm under a different religion. We all serve the same God. So once they begin to hear the voice of Farrakhan, it awakens, it sparks that germ inside of you that you like, wait a minute. I've been lied to my whole life. It's something about this man right here that I need for my soul. So, it's showing pure love without judgment. We're not here to judge one another. So just to embrace our sisters and say, look, we're a sisterhood. Come, let's get this done. What have you going to work at night? Your baby need to be fed. I live across the street. Just things like that to show we're in this together. I don't look down on you because you're a single mother. Are there no Muslim single mothers? Are Muslim women not being abused? So I'm like, even in the different sectors of Islam, we get that too. You get the other women in Islam that's like, oh my God, you all are so free. You get to do that? We're so oppressed. How are you oppressed in Islam? That's something for me that I'm still like, I think I'm going to write a book about Muslim women, okay? I think that's going to be my next book, okay? It's going to be Muslim women. Because I'm just like, how can you be in a religion that represents freedom for Nation of Islam, freedom, justice, and equality? For those that are in other sectors, it's still freedom, justice, and equality. They just don't claim it that way. But in your freedom, just in being a woman in Islam, I can't push Hagar enough because it's like, You can't even walk the path of Hajj. You
Man,
can't
come on.
even walk the path proclaiming your faith without following the
Of a
footsteps
woman.
of a
That's
woman.
right.
You got to follow the footsteps. So how can you feel oppressed in
That's right.
Islam? How? I'm your doorway. Hagar, who of course named Ishhaja, is the only one buried
That's
next to the
right. That's
Kaaba.
right.
It's forbidden to walk over her grave. So how can you feel oppressed? Come
You
on,
know,
man. Islam is
it's for those, you know, I mean, and you go study, because this is 100% on point. Go
say
back
that.
and study that and see it for yourself.
Study.
And then you go back
Come on.
and look at, and this is another point that I want to make, okay? 2 points. Well, let me start with this one first, because the other one I know I won't forget. When you take the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and you look at the women in his family, okay?
Come on.
It's not a lick of oppression.
At all.
I mean,
at all.
it would.
No oppression, no sadness, none of that. Okay.
And when I say that, there is zero negativity in that statement, but it is such a beautiful thing to see the freedom of expression in that without being judged erringly. I mean, it is so beautiful to see it. You just take his daughters, for example. We know Sister Donna is one of our student ministers. And when you close your eyes and you listen, you hear all of her father in her. And nobody tells her that she can't teach. Nobody tells her that she can't go out and resurrect the dead. Nobody tells her that. As a matter of fact, she's invited to come and speak and teach. Because, and I'm gonna just be real, there are times where I'm driving in the car and I'll go to YouTube and I'll search Donna Farrakhan and I'll just hit play and I'm driving. And it's on the Bluetooth speakers, because I already know it's something, man, she's coming with it. You know, how could you say this man is misogynistic? And you have, and that's just one of his daughters. It's just wild, man. I mean, at some point, I'm telling you, I start laughing at people, because I'm like, you so silly, you funny to me. You know, to even say something so stupid and just, it's crazy, right? I remember when there was one, I was at the hospital visiting our brother Louis Jr., may Allah be pleased. I miss Lou so much, man.
I know. Oh my God.
Man, just going to his house and he get me in trouble because I'm staying later than I'm supposed to. He said, no.
Of course.
Like, no, Brandon, watch this. And he pull up something on pay-per-view and make me sit there. He didn't make me. I loved it, honestly. You know, but there was, when he was sick in the hospital at one time, I went to go visit him. And my son Elijah was there, Musa was there, and their mother was there, Sister Tyra. And so I'm upstairs in the room, and Mother Farrakhan comes to visit. She comes with Sister Maria and Brother Olive. And, you know, instantly, of course, we get up, we, you know, recognize her. And so, brother, you could just see the love for his mother in his face. He like almost turned into a little boy sitting there watching him. And it was so beautiful to see his love for his mother, right? And so when he says to me, he says, I want to see Elijah, which is my son, my oldest son. I said, okay, well, he's downstairs, Lou. You know, and so his mother says, I'll go get him. And Mother Farrakhan says, why is she going to get him? And I said, oh, she not. I'm going to get. She said, you go get him.
Right.
Now, what was I supposed to say? You know, like, well, you know, nah, she said, no. She said, you go get him. Sister, you sit down.
That's right.
Does that sound anything like an oppressed woman whatsoever? And And I got up, I jumped up, and I said, I'm going to go get him. And so
That's right.
as I'm walking out, somehow, Elijah charmed his way upstairs, and he's coming through the door as I'm going out. And so he comes.
That's Elijah, sir. That's Elijah. Okay. It's
Yes.
Elijah.
So he comes in, and so now, I'm standing and I'm letting everyone sit down. And just like a mother, with all of the love that a mother could have for her child, she says to me, she says, brother, don't you want to sit down? And I said, oh, I'm fine. And she says, no, she points to the chair. She says, sit down in that chair. And it was one of the more comfortable chairs in there. And I was trying to be polite, and let everyone else take the seat. And so I sat down, and she smiled. She says, now, how's that? I said, mother, I feel like somebody. Now I feel like I'm somebody, because I was in a good chair.
That's right.
She took out her cell phone and she took a picture of me sitting in that chair. She says, hold on. She says, I want to take a picture of somebody that feels like they somebody. That, for me, an oppressed woman has no concern for a man who feels like he's growing, like he's maturing, like he's important. Especially if she's impressed by a man that man is trying to be like. So in that were just living examples of there is no misogyny in Islam. And we don't hear from her much publicly. But I promise you all, if for whatever reason Allah says the same and she decides that, it's happening and she comes out, the world would be so surprised that Mother Farrakhan don't take no mess, man. She don't play. It ain't no game.
No.
And it's no hatred. It's all in love. And
that's right.
When you it's such a beautiful thing to see the balance in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Mother Farrakhan. To see that there is no misogyny in that man. Because when you see her and hear from her, you'll know she won't allow that if it was. She wouldn't allow it.
I have to say that and I'm really thinking of like personal experiences with the minister. But this enemy knows that he wants the Black woman. He always has wanted the Black woman. Slavery, this enemy separated the Black woman from the Black man. He raped us. He wanted to put his seed in us. He know putting his seed in us will send him into the heavens. It will send him into the future. It will send him into the hereafter. So to label the minister a word that can cause injury to what the white man wants to say is his woman. See, he's desperately trying to every tactic that he can to label the minister. So yeah, the minister called for the Million Man March, and then the enemy tells the women he forgot about y'all. Yeah. So now go and you protest and you have your own march. And mother went to the Million Women's March, and the minister supported the Million Women's March. So in the minister, there's so many lectures online flooding YouTube about how you are to protect the female, how you are to protect the woman. And that's why I said earlier, how can you, in giving or wanting to attack Farrakhan, a man who he's pulling the men to teach them how to treat the woman better, to teach them who they are. But this enemy fears that. But the enemy feels you can keep teaching the Black man, but as long as I got your woman, it doesn't matter. Like it plays into now his psychological plan to make the Black man gay. So now I'm gonna make you a homosexual because y'all go over here in this corner and play with yourselves because I got your women over here. And some of us fall victim to that. Because the white man will come and start treating us like we know our Black man should treat us. But he robbed him of that ability. But then the minister steps up and says, I'm going to treat you that way. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to be your defender. And this enemy don't know what to do because he like, damn, now not only is the black woman defending Farrakhan, but now my woman is defending Farrakhan.
Yes.
So now he's really in a rage. So now he's like, well, let me go ahead and then let me label him every word out here that will cause injury to a woman, but it's not working because like the minister said on July 4th, it's no longer his time. So no longer what this enemy does, it's not his time anymore. It's our time.
It is.
So yeah, so no matter what the enemy does, it's not your time anymore. So but I mean, the messenger said they're gonna keep building and they're gonna keep trying until they're removed from the face of the earth, because they like, look, they gonna fight. They ain't gonna give up easily.
Would you?
They're not gonna give up, right? I mean, look what they got, but at the same time, as women, we have to be able to recognize the voice of God and recognize the voice of Satan. Be able to distinguish the two so we can stop falling victim to following Satan.
And I think also it's important for us to point out that when we're in 2020, so when we hear terminology, like what the white man is doing and, and the black man is and the black woman, much of this is referring to a system that is in place, that is being ran by those who are in power. And there's no secret that white men run the world. There's no secret to them. Pick a continent, we can go to the blackest of Africa and there is someone with Caucasian ancestry who's in charge. It's just the reality of this world. So, but the independence part, being independent, seems to be one of the larger fears that exist. And when I say it's black men, when we start becoming more independent, when we decide that, listen, we're going to open our own schools, we're going to not just open a business, but we're going to go buy land and build a community. We're going to build a neighborhood. We're not going to open a liquor store anymore. We're going to open a grocery store now. We're going to open a pharmacy now. These things are where the money is. We're not so much interested in selling real estate because most of us don't understand credit. And if we do, it's bad. And if and if it's good, you're so far few in between. And some of us, have really good credit, but we are so fearful of getting involved and, putting on your big boy pants and your big girl pants and really playing the real game. So that system has to be done away with because the system does not allow independence. Now, this was something that Rabbi Cooper said, and we dealt with this yesterday, but I want to get into it because we have more and more black women now who have more education than ever before in America. But what he said was, referring to Nick Cannon's interview with Professor Griff, he said, anyone seeking a PhD in Jew hatred should watch this interview. And so I know from my studies and research that in order to be awarded a PhD from a university, it says that that individual has submitted themselves to a study and has shown forth that they are capable of doing independent research on their own. And what they present, no one else has presented before, or no one can actually fight it and argue it and defeat it. And they'll say, that stands strong. We may not agree, but we can't defeat it. Our brother, Dr. Wesley Muhammad, perfect example to where his thesis was to prove that God came in the person of Master Father Muhammad. And in order to be, I believe it was the University of Michigan, if I'm not mistaken, awarded him a doctorate degree saying that, hey, we may not agree, but we can't even argue. We can't fight. We can't defeat your argument. It shows independence, right? That now you can think independently, and a slave was never to be independent. A slave was always to be dependent. Even in the so-called freeing of slaves, where slavery was abolished, and they say the Emancipation Proclamation, and say, well, yeah, you're free to go. Well, where I'm gonna go, master? Well, you can work the land here with me. you know, and I'll give you some
Right.
land,
You still
but you got
wasn't
to
free.
pay for it. You got to work for it. So
Absolutely.
all of my work that I
Absolutely.
didn't count for anything. Nowadays, you can even go to jail and get out on time served. Say, well, man, I've been here 6 months. We just got to court today, but what's the sentence? Sentence was 30 days. So I can go, you're free to go. Time served. We didn't even get that. We didn't get time served on the plantation. And so
No.
looking at our sisters now becoming more and more and more
Mm-hmm.
educated. And see, even in the intro, and I gotta say it because it doesn't diminish you, it lifts you up. Um, and some don't even notice about you. But you went into a field of medicine to study emergency medical treatment, to become a first responder. It's so saying that you're beyond a
Mm-hmm.
feel good message. It's like, no, I'm gonna help you be good. It was a path to
Mm-hmm.
you healing thyself, healing yourself, and showing others to heal themselves. Education,
Mm-hmm.
and I want you to speak on it, but I want to make this last point. One of my one of my
Mm-hmm.
daughters said to me one day, she said, Daddy, college ain't for everybody. I said, you're right, baby. I
Mm-hmm.
agree. I said, but education is. So we're not going to have the discussion about you
Mm-hmm.
not furthering your education. If you don't want to go to college, fine. But you're going to school to learn something. You better go learn something, going to train somewhere to learn something. How do you see our sisters being used right now in terms of the education status to where we think that makes us better. We think that makes us independent while the independence is being awarded by those who are oppressing us.
Well, first off, we already know the bottom line is because we don't want to separate from our enemy. So we still go to him for accolades. We're still going to him for validation. And you know, in order for me to feel like I'm somebody, the white man got to tell me that I'm somebody. You know, so I'll use myself as an example. Yeah, I went to school and got my EMT license. However, I stopped there. I did go and I took some science classes or whatever. The Honorable Mr. Farrakhan said, who's
That's
educating
right.
you? Whose education are you gaining? I lost interest in the school system, one, because it just moves too slow for my mind. I don't like the path that they take you on. So, but like you said, I didn't stop educating myself though. So I just pulled myself out of the system of how westernized education is designed, and I began to feed myself. So I started doing my research. I started doing mentoring with doctors. And so now when I sit down, people will ask me, well, what is your PhD in? What is your doctrine in? Well, God made me because the God in me fed me so that when I went out and I started, you know, studying science and biology and health, and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan said to me, God is guiding your mind because the God within you becomes stimulated when you start feeding yourself. So when I started to challenge my professors, they wanted to fail me because I was out learning them. Because you couldn't feed me no more, because God took control and said, let me feed my child because you're feeding her poison. So every week, Dr. Minister Ava has me on her show every week as her health contributor. I don't have a degree in it, yet I can sit at the table with doctors and go back and forth and prove my point because I didn't allow you to feed me your poison. Right. So anybody, male or female, we got to stop wanting to be with this enemy. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said to separate. We have to understand we have what it takes to separate. Stop waiting for this government to give you a stimulus package. There's trillions of dollars in the Black community. Stimulate yourselves. Stimulate your own community. You have it. You're going to take that stimulus package and you're going to go take it over to this enemy. You're going to go buy some furniture or some shoes or some clothes when you have what it takes to buy land, to buy these abandoned buildings on your block. You don't need a credit score. Like Minister Ava said on her show last night, credit is the enemy's way to keep you away from what he wants for himself. We weren't in Africa talking about what's your credit score so you can get this land. We weren't over in the East. What's your credit score? No, it's how much gold you got. How much silver do you have? Then you can buy this land. You don't need a loan. Come on. We gotta stop. We gotta stop wanting to be a part of a system that's destroying us, that's robbing us, that's killing us, that's keeping us sick physically, mentally. You can speak on that with the food. And you know what we're doing? We're overindulging in Satan's world. And like the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, your lifespan is just like your doctor. So what can he do for you?
And you know,
you living just as long as I am, medicating yourself on the same medication you giving me. What can you do for me?
And in fact, that's where I want to segue into, because that was perfect. That with this, you know, we're fasting. Those of us who are participating, we're on this 5-day fast. Some people say, "Oh, I can't do it." Listen, you know, you're abstaining from. It may be food, it might be liquid, it might be a certain activity, whatever the case. But in this particular case, we're talking about food and drink. And so there's some who are fasting like we do for Ramadan. Their fast begins at sunrise and they break the fast at sunset for the 5 days. That's good. It's very good, especially for those who eat all day long, eat and drink all day long. You have some of us who are fasting straight through. It's a liquid fast, maybe some coffee and some tea and some water or something for the 5 days. Some are only drinking water. There's a brother, Brother Rob out of Atlanta, I believe he's on day 21 of a fast right now. And he called me the other day and he said, "Brother, you inspired me when in our conversation about you eating every 3 days." And I thought that was, you know, I was like, wow, you don't really know, you know, because it's not the intent. You don't know that people are paying attention like that. But I've never fasted 19 days, 20 days, 21 days. I've never done that, you know, like he's doing. Let me say that. I've gone 30 days, but not to that degree. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that fasting cure many of our ills. And as a matter of fact, and I gotta go to it. I gotta always keep this in the forefront. This
That's right.
To live.
That's right.
There are 2 books, book 1 and book 2. And he specifically, and I'm gonna read because I don't want to misquote it. And we dealt with it last night. We put it up last night as well. We posted it, but I want to quote him. There is a chapter on fasting for those who are not aware.
Come on.
He says, fasting is a greater cure of our ills, both mental and physical, than all of the drugs of the earth combined into one bottle or a billion bottles. A greater cure of our ills, both mental and physical. And by that, he is not suggesting, but he's teaching us that we have mental illnesses. And in the Black community, it is taboo to be treated for a mental illness, mostly because of how it has been viewed. And so I never forget, you know, watching the movie Roots, to where Kunta Kinte, he did not speak English. And so Fiddler was charged with breaking him and making him a slave. And so Fiddler went to feed him. He was feeding him grits with some pork. And he couldn't talk. And he asked, you know, he was basically like saying, "What is it?" And Fiddler's giving him the food. But Fiddler said to him, he said, "Grits, dummy." He said, "It's grits." And he asked, he was trying to figure out what the meat was, and so Fiddler began, snorting like a pig. And Kunta Kinte knocked it off the plate because he didn't even want that near his food because he was a Muslim in his homeland.
That's right.
But the fact that Fiddler
That's right.
called him dummy was,
Mm-hmm.
it plays into our role today when it comes to mental illness. The way that we are, what dumb is defined as. We know, and growing up in our generation, those who were in special education, they were what nowadays they call hearing disabilities, visual impairment, hearing impairment, or learning disability. Years ago, it used to be called deaf, dumb, and blind. So you were blind, or you were deaf, or you were dumb, meaning that you couldn't learn, or you couldn't speak, or you couldn't communicate properly. And so that was the stigma on special education. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we as Black people in America are deaf, dumb, and blind. That is how we've been made from slavery. So it requires a special education. It requires someone to kind of hold our hand at first. It requires to get us all separated into one classroom, because you can't go out there because you don't know how to behave. So you got to come back in here and you sit down, and there's a special kind of instruction to teach us how to work ourselves into what they call the general population of the general public. He said for us that we should have the same respect as all civilized peoples and civilized nations. But it was up to us to do it. So we have to do what civilized people do. And part of that is protecting the women in our civilized community. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and you certainly, and any of the MGT can speak to this much more than I can. And I only know about it because I've heard the minister teach on it, and I've never, not one time, been in any of you all's books. I'm scared I'm probably gonna see something about myself, like, man, she know,
Oh my God. Oh my God.
No,
Oh my
but
God.
seriously, part of the classes, the lesson that Master Fard Muhammad, the Mahdi, the self-guided one, the teacher of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, gave to him to give to the sisters was how to cook. And in that, of course, I love cooking, but I learned it from my grandmother, who was an MGT in San Diego and Los Angeles. They came in the 50s in what they called Temple Number 8 then, and eventually went to Temple Number 27 in Los Angeles. But both her and my grandfather, my mother's, these were my mother's parents, they were both chefs. He was also a barber. But cooking for us was one of the most important things in our family, because eating properly was one of the most important things for us in our family. So for me to transition into eating every 3 days, just growing up, just being that the dude down there, they don't eat no pork. We was them, they don't eat no pork. Going from that to eating every 3 days, transitioning into that, it stems back to my grandmother. And it goes back to her not being, she was not confined to the kitchen at all, because my grandmother was not that type of woman. Trust me. If she had something on her mind and she wanted it to come out of her mouth, she did not care who was present. She said it and did not care how you felt about it. My mother was the same way. But in all of that, she gave us how to eat to live. She taught us that by what she cooked. My grandfather fell right in line with it. So the role of cooking, eating properly, some people, and what I'm getting to is the meal that you eat prior to your fast and the meal you eat to break your fast. As a mother, as a wife, as a, this world would call you a doctor, but we understand it better, as a healer. as one with an assignment, how do you, and I know you've done this before, how do you express to the sisters, to the women that you come in contact with, the importance of eating properly and fasting?
I give them an example of what they see in themselves and in their families. So, how many people in your family have diabetes? How many people in your family have high blood pressure? How many people in your family have had cancer? Have had, doing the statistics that we know is in Black communities and is in Black homes, and also enforcing the understanding that your life is not written for you to live like that. You don't have to live in pain. You don't have to be obese. This world is telling you this is how you have to be. Or, this is how Black people are. It's on your DNA. It's on your, well, they put it there. But it does not mean you cannot rid yourself of it. Does not mean that. So, of course, as you know, in How to Eat to Live, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad goes through the steps of how to cure yourself of diabetes. What is it that you have to do? What you should not eat. So that's what I express to them. But I always lead with asking them the question, how many people do you know that have these diseases? Do you want to cure yourself from that? Do you want to prevent your children or yourself from going down that path? Do you believe it could be possible? Let me show you how it could be possible. And now the enemy of this world is saying fasting, intermittent fasting. That's eating 1 meal a day. Stop it. Just give the credit to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is what happens if you don't eat for 3 days. Stop it. You get it from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Give the man his credit. But I explained to them, even in showing them how to eat to live. You can just look at the date of it. This information came before this enemy started bearing witness to it. Because now this enemy is desperately trying to extend his life. So he's trying to figure it out. Because white folks eat pork too. White folks got high blood pressure too. Fertility issues. That ain't a Black person's issue, but it's a white person's issue. And they want to know if I can find something in this book to help me. So it's like, come on. But it's really, and the younger people get it. Older generations are stuck in their ways. And it's really like, well, you got to die some kind of way. You don't have to live your life in pain. Allah did not create you to live your life in pain. Pain is supposed to be a stimulant to make you grow, not to have you suffer. And some of us get caught in that. We get caught in pain and it turns us away, or we get stagnated. That's not what pain does. So you got the wrong kind of pain in your life. And I'm talking from the experience of having blood clots. My left leg was twice the size as my right, but I did not let that pain stop me. It stimulated me because of my faith, and I knew Allah would heal me. So I talk to women like that too. Fight through your pain. If you've ever delivered a child, you couldn't quit in the middle of the delivery. That child is still coming. That pain is still gonna come. And some of us punk out, give me an epidural because I can't take the pain. You got great pain in your life. I get it, we're tired of pain. I understand that. But we have to now incorporate the proper knowledge of, why did Allah create pain? Why is it here? Does Allah himself go through pain? Absolutely. But it ain't the pain from diabetes. It's not the pain from lung cancer or your kidney shutting down or the headaches from your high blood pressure or the slow movement because you obese. You 200 pounds over your proper weight and you still feeding yourself. You laying in a bed making excuses for yourself. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. And stop allowing people around you to feel sorry for you. Get your butt up and do something for yourself. I can't stand that. My husband will tell you that is a irritant of mine. I can't stand people that move slow. I can't stand when we make excuses and you just want to, man, we got a God on the scene today that is living, a living God, delivering us, declaring our wins. Why the hell you still failing? Why are you still failing? We have the perfected God. So you can't fail no more. All you can do is be perfected. That's it. You're going backwards because you're following the enemy and his time is over.
Come on. That's exactly it.
We have to separate. We have to separate for the sake of our survival, or like the most honorable Elijah Muhammad says, separate or death. Die with your enemy or come with me.
That's right. You know, and it is
that's where we at.
The denialism is what they call it, you know, in mental health, when you deny reality. You know, you deny what's real.
Absolutely.
And right here in our reality, we can look and see that America will never be the same as we know it.
Absolutely.
That the world will never be the same as we know it. And the reason that during this pandemic that so many of us are suffering is because we're trying to hold on to a world that is already on life support. Just waiting for someone, some kind family member to just come and say, you know what, just pull the plug. This ain't happening. You know, but we're still holding on. And so we're suffering as a result of that. Now, we were instructed back in April to store up food in our homes for at least 90 days, medical supplies, food, things that emergency supplies, things that you can have. And we went along with this world and said, well, it's only going to last 2 weeks. They said 14 days. Denialism. See, it comes, the mental illnesses come from not fasting. So part of this fast is to offer to us and to really try to encourage us to help rid ourselves of the mental illnesses that we may not have been diagnosed with yet. Because it exists.
That's right.
You know, you got physical illnesses that you haven't been diagnosed about yet. You don't know that you have. It works the same with the mental illnesses. But fasting will really help cure those ills. So we're asking that everybody continue on with us. We're breaking our fast Sunday night. And I'm debating. I don't know. I might cook Sunday night. I might go live cooking. I don't know. But I don't know. But we'll do that. And this is to build my strength, my mental illness, my physical illness, because I want to help back and fight and stand with a righteous man, because I'm yet not righteous. And so years ago, I remember this in Los Angeles when the Jewish community was outside. They were picketing a lecture that the Honorable Farrakhan was getting ready to teach. And they had a bullhorn, and the Jewish man said, who do we want? And the rest of them said, Farrakhan. He said, how do we want him? He said, dead. Well, there was a great captain, and I'm not going to say who he is because he didn't give me permission to. But he went before them, and he gave them some very, very choice words that they did not expect to hear from this black man in this suit and bow tie. And he said, well, they said to him, hold on. What he said to them was, he said, you leave here now. He said, stop lying to these people, because they were going to the people who were in line to come see the minister, giving them these pamphlets saying he's a hater, he's a bigot, he's an anti-Semite. And he told them, he said, stop giving that to those people, and you need to leave. And they're kind of mouthing off. And he told them it would be in the best interest of them, their children, and their grandchildren to leave, because that man inside is a righteous man. And because they did not seem to understand his speech, he brought it down about 10 notches for them. Now, I'm 15, right? I'm sitting there looking like, dang, you know, he's saying that to them. And the man looks and he says, well, that doesn't sound righteous to me. Look how you're talking. And he says, hey, I didn't say I was righteous. I said he righteous. And then he continued on to express to that man why it was in his best interest to leave. Nevertheless, they packed up and left. And so, because in that same spirit, that's a righteous man. I ain't righteous. And it don't mean that I'll be able to do everything that's on my heart to you for offending him. But man, it's going to take a lot to take my last breath and everything in me to stop me from trying to do what I feel in my heart to do to somebody who's offending that
That's right.
And I mean that with every ounce of my being. If I can leave this earth and my children and my family know that, yeah, he was crazy. You know, he talked to us crazy, but he loved Farrakhan. And if that's how I go out, there are going to be some things that many of us, you and I, and many others will be accused of because we're defending him. And they'll come with things that people think is a secret that we've already gotten off of our chest all over the world. I'm talking about all of us. And they'll bring it before the public and they'll say, they're going to say some things about Chef Brandon. And I'm going to tell y'all, some of it is going to be true. I can tell you right now, some of it is going to be true. What they cannot do, and don't let them feed you the lie, is that I am not with Farrakhan, that I won't give my life to save his life, that I won't give my life and ask my children and my family to stand with me and give their lives for his life. Don't make that mistake and think that I care more about what they can say about me, truthful or lie, that I will back down. I pray that I keep that spirit until my last breath, because that's the way I feel right now, because I know what he's done for me. I know what he's done for my family.
That's right.
And I know what my own children have experienced just being in his presence, that put them on a path to say, I want to stand stronger and taller with him. So I thank Allah for him. Sister, I thank Allah for you, as always. I thank Allah for your family. Give Brother T my love. One of the most solid brothers I've ever met in the city of Chicago. Word is bond to Allah. I say that. He was the same from the first day I met him to the last time I saw him. And I mean, consistently a brother. And I've said this before you came on, but I'm going to say it to you so you can hear it. I don't have a problem. Like we say in the street, I'll ride for you, your husband, and your children any day of the week. That's just how I feel about y'all. Just a beautiful family. And I thank you for coming on. Y'all go get my sister's book, The Power to Break Generational Pain. Go get it. I'm trying to tell you. I want you to see this. Go get this book, man. Heal Thyself book is another book. There's a magazine. I mean, go on her website. I'm just telling you. And she's, as you can see, she's very personable, man. She's a real sister. She really means this. So don't be afraid to reach out to her. I know I can say that, and she ain't even said it, but I know that much about her. Reach out to her. You got questions. You want her on your show, you want some information, man, reach out to the sister and she will help you. Mar, any final statements you want to make before we sign off?
Man, thank you. First, I do have to say thank you. Thank you for bringing me on the show. I had fun. I had fun. I did. I really had a good time. And I mean, I thank Allah for all of the believers who are standing up to defend the minister. It needs to be more of us, and it will be more of us. We'll see more standing up. And I thank you for being a courageous FOI, for being a Black man standing up. It's needed. It's absolutely needed. So, and thank you for all of the beautiful words that you said about my book, about myself, about my family. And please, yes, give my love and greetings to your family as well.
They better be watching.
And man, this
better be watching.
I have fun. Oh my God. But I'm like, I had fun. It was very enjoyable. I really had a good time. This is how it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? The righteous dialogue and the defending our minister, because we all Farrakhan soldiers. So
make no mistake about it.
Hey, this is what we do.
About it. I promise you. No.
Hey, please. Absolutely.
So you all, I thank everybody for watching. I thank everybody for sharing, for all of your comments. Don't hesitate to inbox or email. You can email me at chefbmoo@gmail.com. You can visit the website, cooktolivposse.com. Don't hesitate to continue in this discussion and pick up the fasting with us. You know, we're coming on again tomorrow.
That's right.
We have another brother that'll be coming on tomorrow, and I think you all are really going to enjoy this one. But we'll be going more into some more health. We'll be going into more of the fasting, and we'll be dealing more with the lies that are being told on the Honorable Louis Farrakhan from a scientific point of view, and scripture, because he's a studier of the word. So thank you all for watching. Thank you. Well, I love y'all, man. Give my love to everyone, and God willing, we'll be back on this again tomorrow. Sorry for holding everybody over extra 15 minutes. Y'all know I talk. All right. Assalamu alaikum, sis.
Walaikum salam.